They looked like they were in misery, trapped in those cages, like tiny prisoners. I did them a favor, Amanda said, flicking her blonde hair over her shoulder with a smug grin. I stood in the empty rabbitry, staring at the spotless cages that had just held my prized Netherland dwarf breeding pairs, now gone. I'm Olivia Parker, 32, a veterinary technician. For the past 10 years, I've built one of the country's top rabbit breeding programs. While others climbed corporate ladders, I focused on preserving rare genetic lines, ensuring healthier breeds, and contributing to global conservation efforts. Amanda, I said, keeping my voice steady despite the rage bubbling up inside me. Those rabbits were worth more than your car. She snickered, her laugh grinding on my nerves. They're just rabbits. They deserve to be free, running in the wild, having little wild babies. I didn't bother explaining that domestic rabbits wouldn't survive a day in the wild. Instead, I pulled out my phone and started typing. Amanda's smile faltered. "What are you doing? Calling the cops?" she asked, her tone tinged with unease. I replied coolly, "And the American Rabbit Breeders Association." "Amanda, those weren't just pets. They were part of an international DNA registry." Her face drained of color. "What?" "Each one had a microchip and a DNA profile. That little brown one you thought needed freedom, she's one of only 50 purebred silver martins left in existence." I showed her the official registration records on my phone. Amanda stood there, speechless. But I was helping. "The police are on their way," I said, still typing. "They take theft of registered breeding animals very seriously, especially when they're part of an endangered species conservation program." She grabbed my arm, her earlier arrogance giving way to desperation. "You can't call the cops. I'm family." I calmly removed her hand. Family doesn't destroy a decade's worth of breeding work because they think they know better than professionals. The truth was, I'd been anticipating this ever since Amanda and my brother moved in next door 3 months ago. She'd made it clear how much she hated my breeding program, dismissing everything about genetic preservation and seeing me as some cruel jailer. But what she didn't know was that my rabbits weren't just microchipped. They also had tiny GPS trackers. I already knew where she'd dumped them in the nearby state forest. My rescue team was already on their way. "It's not theft," she screeched, her voice rising. "I was doing something good. They're better off in nature." I pulled up another file. "This is the estimated value of my breeding stock. Those 24 rabbits you freed? They're worth roughly $380,000. Amanda swayed, a little shaken. "That's impossible. They're just rabbits." "They're not just anything," I snapped, my patience snapping. "They're the result of decades of selective breeding. Some of those bloodlines have been in existence for over a century. Their DNA is vital to the health of domestic rabbit populations worldwide." The headlights of police cars illuminated the driveway, followed by the sound of crunching tires. My rescue team had arrived. Amanda started to cry, loud, exaggerated tears, the kind she always used to manipulate people. "Please," she whimpered, "Mark is going to kill me." My brother had always enabled her, but now, even he couldn't ignore what she'd done. The front door opened, and several sets of footsteps echoed through the house. "Miss Parker," a familiar voice called. "In here," I answered. Officer Martinez stepped into the rabbitry, accompanied by my rescue team coordinator. I nodded toward the corner, checked the security camera. It caught everything. Amanda's tears stopped abruptly. "Security footage?" I gave her a tight smile. "I run an internationally registered breeding program, Amanda. Of course I have security cameras." As the officers took photos of the empty cages and recorded her statement, I turned to my rescue team. "The GPS trackers should be within a 2-meter radius. If we move quickly, we can find them before nightfall." Amanda stood frozen, watching as her plan unraveled in front of her. She thought she'd be praised for her misguided rescue. Instead, she was about to face the consequences of her actions: sabotage, theft, and the risk of causing harm to animals she claimed to care about. For once, she wasn't going to charm her way out of this. The next few hours passed in a blur of frantic activity. My rescue team spread through the forest, tracking the GPS signals of each rabbit, while I tried to comprehend the scale of Amanda's recklessness. One by one, the signals moved. At least they were still alive. "Found one," Sarah called, gently lifting a trembling silver martin from beneath some brush. "She's scared, but unharmed." Relief washed over me, but it was laced with anger. These weren't wild animals. They had never known life outside human care. Each rabbit we found was a reminder of how close Amanda had come to disaster. Meanwhile, Officer Martinez was finishing up with Amanda's statement. She kept trying to justify herself. They were in cages. It's not right. I was doing what any caring person would do. Ma'am, Officer Martinez said calmly. These are registered breeding animals, worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Their genetic lines are protected by international conservation agreements. As the last rabbit was found and secured, Mark showed up. His face was red, not with his usual frustration at me, but with something new, pure, unfiltered anger. Amanda, he said, his voice tight. What the hell were you thinking? Do you realize what you've done? Amanda tried to stand her ground. I was just trying to help. They were suffering in there. I stepped forward, holding up the latest veterinary report. Actually, they receive better care than most people. Weekly checkups, specialized diets, climate-controlled housing. They're part of a preservation program for endangered domestic breeds. Mark raked his hands through his hair, a sign he was overwhelmed. How much trouble is she in? Officer Martinez exhaled. Given the value of the animals and their protected status, this could qualify as grand theft. However, he looked at me. If Miss Parker chooses not to press charges and all animals are safely recovered. I turned to Amanda. Her mascara was streaked down her face, her smugness replaced by real fear. I want a restraining order, I said firmly. She's never to come near my property or my rabbits again. That's fair, Mark agreed, cutting off any protest from Amanda. Amanda's head snapped up. Move, but we just got settled. And then you committed a felony against my sister. Mark snapped. We're lucky she's not facing charges. The rescue team wrapped up their initial health assessments. Against the odds, all 24 rabbits were found unharmed, though their stress levels were concerning. Then need careful attention, I told Mark. Stress alone can be fatal for rabbits. If any complications arise, forward the vet bills to me. He cut me off, every single one of them. Amanda scoffed but quickly fell silent when Mark shot her a hard look. For once, he wasn't making excuses for her. Officer Martinez handed me the incident report. Do you want to contact the Breed Association? They may suggest additional security steps, he asked. I nodded, already anticipating the difficult phone calls. Some of these bloodlines were irreplaceable, the result of years of meticulous breeding. I didn't know, Amanda muttered, watching me check each rabbit. I thought they were just pets. Without glancing up, I replied, That's the issue. You never bothered to ask. You assumed you knew better. Mark placed a hand on my shoulder. We'll be out of here tonight. I'm sorry, Liv. As they left, I heard Amanda begin her usual round of complaints, but Mark's voice was firm. This time he wasn't giving in to her manipulations. For the next few hours, I focused on my rabbits, documenting their condition for both the Breeding Association and my insurance. The GPS trackers had saved them this time. But it was clear I needed even better security. Amanda's actions proved that much. My phone buzzed with a text from Mark. Movers will be here in an hour. Amanda's staying with her sister until we find a new place. I'm really sorry. I didn't respond. Years of Amanda's so-called helping had worn away my patience and strained my relationship with my brother. This wasn't the first time she'd interfered in my life, but it would certainly be the last. I glanced at my rabbits, each one unique and part of a legacy that Amanda had no interest in understanding. She nearly destroyed something invaluable because she couldn't accept that someone else might know more. As the evening wore on, I finally allowed myself to relax. The rabbits were safe, Amanda was leaving, and for the first time in months, my home felt like mine again. Over the next few weeks, my rabbitry became a fortress. New security cameras, reinforced blocks, and a cutting-edge alarm system made sure that no one, not even Amanda, could disrupt my work again. The Breed Association acted swiftly, using my experience to enhance security protocols for other registered breeders. My GPS tracking system became the gold standard, with other breeders reaching out for advice on how to protect their own valuable genetic lines. Mark kept his promise, covering all vet bills without hesitation. The rabbits gradually recovered. 2 of my oldest needed extra care for several weeks. During a follow-up visit, Dr. Patterson handed me the results. The DNA tests came back clean. No genetic damage from the stress. But I recommend postponing any breeding for at least 3 months. It was frustrating, but health had to come first. Then came the letter. "I wish to contest the restraining order," Amanda's lawyer wrote. "My client acted out of compassion, and the severe restrictions are causing family strain." I forwarded it to my lawyer with one simple response: "No." Later that evening, Mark called, his voice weary. "She's not taking this well, Liv. She thinks we're all overreacting." I tightened my grip on the phone. She almost destroyed a decade of work because she refused to listen to professionals. "The restraining order stays," I added firmly. Mark sighed but didn't argue. It seemed that, for the first time, he was seeing Amanda for who she really was. Their marriage was clearly fraying under the weight of her actions, and I could tell he wasn't sure how much longer he could hold it together. The breeding community rallied around me. I received messages from other breeders who had experienced similar well-meaning yet disastrous interference. My upgraded security system became a benchmark for others in the industry. 6 months later, I received an unexpected email from the International Rare Breed Conservation Society. They'd like to feature my rabbitry in their annual report, the director wrote. "Your experience has brought attention to an important issue. Many activists don't understand the scientific value of controlled breeding programs." As I prepared for the photo shoot, Mark showed up alone. He looked worn out, aged by recent events. "We're divorcing," he said, watching me check on a new litter of silver martins. Her sister's been pushing her activism. Amanda still thinks she did nothing wrong. I searched for the right words, but ultimately, I knew this had been inevitable. Part of me felt guilty for being the catalyst, but the other part recognized that it was long overdue. "The rabbits are doing well," I replied. "The breeding program is back on track." Mark let out a quiet laugh. "Good. You know, I never really understood what you did here until all this happened. These little guys, they're important, aren't they? They're part of something bigger than us." I showed him the detailed genetic records. Each one carries traits that could help preserve their breed. It's not just about having pets, it's about ensuring their future. At that moment, a tiny kit peeked out of the nesting box, its perfect silver martin coloring the ideal result for the breeding program. The incident had changed more than just security protocols. It had shifted relationships, priorities, and perspectives. Mark finally saw the value of my work, even if Amanda never would. My rabbitry had become a beacon for other breeders, proof that genuine care for animals needed to be paired with knowledge and respect for expertise. The GPS trackers that saved my rabbits were now used globally. Amanda eventually moved across the country with her sister, still convinced she was in the right. But in her attempt to destroy my life's work, she had only made it stronger. Sometimes the best revenge isn't confrontation, it's success. My rabbits thrived, the program expanded, and my brother, he finally found his voice, standing up to the self-righteousness that had nearly cost me everything. Looking at my rabbitry now, I realized that Amanda's rescue had an unexpected silver lining. It had made everything I had built even more resilient. Some people will never understand that true compassion requires knowledge. But for those of us who do, we'll keep working, keep breeding, and keep preserving these genetic lines for generations to come. Thanks for watching, see you next time, and stay amazed.